What's up everyone, and welcome to the channel. Today I wanted to go over mods I got for the Hellcat. One of them is purely appearance in nature, while the other one, I would assume most people would consider it a performance type of mod. It's not going to really change the power of the car, but it is going to help with potential issues down the road from a motor perspective. So get into that one when I open it up. But so basically it's been like Christmas without it actually being Christmas. This one, like I said, is more of a performance related thing. Again, not sure if you'll be able to see that JLT performance. I posted a thing on the Facebook groups regarding this product and what everybody's preferences are. JLT has one, Billet Technologies has one, SpeedLogic sells one. So there's a bunch of different ones on the market you can get. At the end of the day, after seeing everybody's comments on Facebook, and then the fact that JLT was actually running a sale on these things, I decided to go with the JLT one. I've used JLT for the splash guards that are on my Charger. I like the splash guards. So the other thing about JLT that I really like is, I ordered this thing on today's Friday the 18th. I ordered this, today's Friday the 15th. Guess I need to get my days straight. But I had ordered this on the 12th, and the thing actually came on the 14th, so literally 2 days, and I had this thing. I've worked with some other vendors for some of the mods I bought, and let's just say the shipping has been less than stellar as it relates to getting stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up. I don't know if there's going to be another box inside or not, or if it's just going to be the part. So let's see, packing slip, like that. Alright, the install instructions, which they also have on their website, and then here is the actual part. So it is a billet catch can. This is the passenger side only. This is their new 3.0 version. It's because it holds 3 ounces. So you can see, I don't know if you can see the filtering system there. Alright, this looks like this will be pretty interesting to install. Looks like there's something on that filter there. I'll have to see if I can get that off before I install it on the car. You can see it's definitely easy to open the can, get the can off to drain the oil it's collecting. The hoses, obviously, not sure how all this connects. I'll have to look at the instructions. And then here's the actual mounting bracket. So for people that already have these from JLT, you'll be familiar with this, but for other people, basically this mounts to the front of the motor, and then you screw that down, and that's pretty much how it will look on the car. Let's see what we have here, and then we have the mounting hardware itself to put it all on. They do send some window decals if you so inclined to put them on your vehicle. I did just start the car and ran it for a little while, so the motor's a little hot. So I actually have the hood open right now so that the motor can cool down a little bit. So I will probably work on the decals first. As I get into installing this stuff, I will try to video as much of it as I can and go from there. Okay, now for the real moment of truth, installing the JLT catch can. I've never done anything like this, so this is going to be an interesting experience. I have already put on the one of the mounting nuts right there. So the further back you go on that stud, adjusts the area of where the bracket's going to come up to hold the catch can. And then of course you have to feed the hoses to the back to the from here to here. So these are the two connectors that have to come off. You got to get this off, and then you have to get that off there. As you'll see when I get done, one of the hoses from the catch can runs into this, and then the other hose from the other side of the catch can runs down into that. And that's how it separates the oil out of the air. The air flows through the can. The air gets fed through a filter. The filter forces the oil droplets out of the air, and then they go down into the can, and then the air continues passing through to the other side of the connection. So I'm not really sure from this which way the air is flowing. I think the air is flowing from this side up into the can, goes through the filter, and then comes out of the filter back into there. That part I'm not sure of. I'm sure there'll be plenty of people that might watch this video that think I'm a dumbass because I don't know, but you know, it is what it is at this point. I have decided I wanted to do a catch can. Everything I read on the internet says that if you put them on the passenger side, they do in fact get oil. So I figured it was a good idea. I just don't know which way the air is flowing in that situation. So, but I'm going to work on getting the rest of the bracket mounted, and then start taking the hose off. So while I've been working on the car, I've been doing this outside. I guess you can say winter is officially here. Okay, back to the car. So I've got the bracket mounted. I haven't decided exactly yet how far out I want it to come, considering the belt is right there. The one thing I have noticed though is that it actually has an issue with this wiring harness right here. So you can see as soon as you start pushing it up, it starts to hit that harness, and for it to be vertical, that harness is going to be under a ton of pressure right there. So I think that what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to push that harness down, and then hope that that works like that, and that there's no rubbing from the motor torquing under pressure, under load, that kind of stuff. You know, I guess that'll remain to be seen whether this wiring gets any wear against the edge. I might even actually take some, I don't know, maybe some electrical tape and wrap the bracket right there, just so it's not rubbing against bare metal there. I'm not sure if that's expected or whether I should move this out further. I don't know if you're going to be able to see down under here, but you can see that the nut that the bracket is on is already not completely onto that engine stud there, so I don't want to back that nut off that much further to provide more clearance on the back side of that bracket for this wire to be able to stay up so it's not rubbing. And even with that, I think it would still, you know, potentially rub. Oops, sorry, zoom back out there. So I think even, you know, if the wire harness was up, you know, it's still going to potentially rub, but up here as opposed to down here. So that part I'm still trying to figure out exactly how I want to mount that. So that's for that right now. And then also I did notice, it's actually kind of interesting since I'm putting in an oil catch can, but you can see that the valve that or the connection that has to come off the I believe that's the side of the manifold there. You can see it looks like it's already got some oil grime on it already. I don't know if that's indicative of you know, how much blow-by there actually is, or if that's just regular grime just from, you know, the use of the motor or the use of the car and stuff like that. So I just thought that was interesting that you know, that fitting already looks like it's got some kind of oil covering on it already. So, but that's where I'm at right now. So I'm going to work some more on this and see where I get to. Sorry, I'm not keeping the camera on full time while I'm doing this. Trying to find the place to set the camera up seemed to be more trouble than what it was worth. So I'm kind of doing this in steps. So on this side of the hose, there is a little tab right here that this screwdriver is behind. Hopefully you can see that. If you pry it out just a little bit, it will release the hose from the fitting there. On this hose down here, where the hell is it? Okay, on that hose down there, you're pressing this little button in here, and that should release the clamp on the fitting from the fitting there. You'll be able to pull the hose off. I haven't actually done that yet because I didn't want the openings to be open for any length of time before hooking up the other hoses. So, but I did want to show real quick how to disconnect the hoses from both ends. You know, there are instructions on paper. You know, there are pictures involved, but I think a video and actually showing it on the car, how it looks and all that, might be a little bit better than the paper and the pictures. But anyway, like I said, this tab right here, pop it out a little bit, pop it out a little bit there, and then that button right there. Okay, so I'm finally finished installing the JLT catch can. There it is. Here to look from the side is, let's see. So the instructions say to use a 15mm socket to deal with the nuts that are down there. I found using an open-end wrench was actually a little bit easier. So I got everything set up and connected. This fitting actually seems to be fine. It locks in place. The other one, which is back in there, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it or not. Let's see. So the other one down there that's on the manifold, it just pulls right off. I don't know if you can see that. Let's see. So you can see how it just kind of pulls right off of that thing. You can hear the clip engage. It just doesn't feel like the clip is strong enough to hold it on there. So I actually called JLT and talked to somebody there, and they said that because it's that side and on that side is where the vacuum is created, that not locking in place shouldn't be a problem because the vacuum should hold the hose on. I haven't had a chance to start the car, so who knows. With it snowing outside right now, I'm not going to be starting it anytime soon. So needless to say, you know, whether this is going to stay or not, I don't know. It's going to depend on whether I have any issues. I'm getting ready to drive this thing on a 1,000-mile road trip. The last thing I need is for this thing to fail halfway into it. I did notice when I took the actual hose off the car, let's see if you can see with the light, you can see, you know, definitely what looks like some oil residue inside, and that is the manifold side. So actually looking down inside there, it looks like an actual puddle of oil. So I definitely think that, you know, is it too much to be a problem for the motor? Who knows? I'm not a mechanic, but it definitely looks like, you know, from looking at that and from what I've read online, everybody says that the passenger side is where you actually get oil. So, you know, again, I'm hoping that, you know, as long as this thing works right, and I don't have any problems with that connection, that this will be a long-term good investment. But only time will tell. So the other thing that I did notice when doing the install was I found it was much easier to connect the can to the bracket but not tighten the nut down on the bracket so that this could move freely. By doing that, you know, you can move it around and be able to move the hoses wherever you needed to, you know, without a problem. The other thing that I noticed, and I don't know about this, is, you know, that thing is butted right up against, I have no idea what that is. I'm assuming it's some kind of module for the supercharger, but you know, you can see it's practically touching there, you know, and there is flex in this, you know, bracket, so I'm sure bouncing and stuff, it's gonna hit that thing. So I don't know if that's gonna be a problem long term or not. You know, I could back this out a little bit and move the bracket back a little bit, but, you know, again, like I said earlier, I didn't really want to move the bracket back too far because, I don't know if you can see that, but the nut is already, you know, almost at the very end of that bolt. So again, backing it off anymore, you know, puts the bracket closer to the belt. It leaves less thread on the nut to hold it onto the bolt. So, you know, that's why I kind of kept it where I did. So hopefully that's not going to be a problem long term either. I know that I'm assuming I'll probably have to keep an eye on this thing just to make sure it's not either wearing down the plastic here. It's not wearing down the plastic there on this, or it's not wearing, you know, the rubber connector where the hose is, just from flexing. So who knows? Let's see here. But that's pretty much it. I mean, all in all, I'm happy with the product. I'm not that sure about that connection on that hose. I don't know if it's just a bad connection. I actually think it might be the actual fitting on the manifold, because one of the things JLT suggested was to take the hose off of the manifold and put it on the valve cover connection, and when I did that, it locked in place. It would not come off. You know, I had to actually push in the button there, or the whatever you want to refer to this thing as. I had to push that in order for it to release off the fitting. So I don't know, maybe the fitting on the manifold itself is a little messed up. But for whatever reason, it is, you know, that thing is loose, so I will be keeping an eye on that. Alright, thanks for watching. Hopefully, I don't know if you found this video necessarily informative, but hopefully you enjoyed at least part of it. And please subscribe to the channel.